Music turned down. Alright, welcome to the Journey to Silius Chambers Super Warp. This is a build upon my last video where I analyzed some of the memory addresses. And so if you haven't had a chance to watch that video, I'd recommend watching that one first as a primer to understand precisely what's going on. To get us started, some additional information is that this game is very well laid out. I mean, the entire map of the stage itself is mapped up perfectly according to macro frames. All right, so when the screen scrolls to the right, to the left, down, up, there is a micro frame location. It's also the X position low bit, and it changes really fast. And each time that it clicks from 255 to 256, it rolls over to 0. At that time, the macro frame location increments by 1. When the macro frame location increments by 16, this is either scrolling right, left, up, down. As soon as it increments 16, it will increment the spawn location. So, like for example, every single time that you get to a location in the game where the screen stops scrolling, it will stop scrolling. You'll reach that boundary on the exact same frame that you end up getting a 16 increment, your 16th increment in the macro frame location. So you'll always see every single time you get to the top of an elevator, the bottom of an elevator, you get to the end of a level, fall down gaps in certain levels, like in level 2, for example. It's perfectly laid out that way so that it's from the top of an elevator to the bottom of an elevator, the scrolling is 16 macro frames. It's really neat to see how it's all laid out like that. But let me show you, before I actually show you what I found, I'm going to show you what's going on, because I wanted to know, in addition to the 16 macro frame incrementing our address 017E, which is the spawn location memory address, incrementing that by 1, there was these extra increments that would occur under a very specific condition in the game. And as you can see here, there is a jump to subroutine DEDD. Every single frame that the game runs, the game code accesses this subroutine, and at the end of this subroutine, it's doing a comparison between our macro frame location, our X position, high byte that is being compared to memory address 2. So every single frame of the game, this subroutine runs, and at the end of which it's doing this comparison between address 30 and address 2. And depending upon that comparison, it will or will not execute jump to this subroutine DFB5. Now, when this executes, all right, at the end of the subroutine, it's going to increment 017E, which is our spawn location. So, in the game itself, for this particular spot, to understand why this is actually occurring, is that the game scrolls to the right, and like, for example, in this instance, okay, this is level 3. All right, so once it scrolls and hits that end on the very frame that the scrolling stops, the macro frame increments to, in this case, you can see the value 160 here. This is the unsigned value. And it was written in such a way that it's assumed that on the very first frame of scrolling to the left at the bottom of this elevator was going to take you to 159. So they sort of wrote it in as long as that the macro frame is 160 on whatever frame that it's checking, and it checks every frame, it's going to give you an increment. So you'll notice that the micro frames here is 25. That means we're technically 25 microframes further, in a sense, than the 160 macro frame location. What that means is that when we start scrolling to the left, it's going to remain 160 for however long it takes us to go those 25 microframes. Now, originally, in the previous video, I basically stood there and I took a bullet to the face, and every single frame that I advanced backwards in the damage animation, I was moving 4 microframes per second. So if I had a 25 here, I was only getting 6 increments on the spawn location. And today, it dawned on me to ask the simple question: is 4 microframes per frame the slowest that we could scroll the screen? And so I was messing around and I realized that I could scroll the screen at 1 microframe per frame and get all of those microframes to become our spawn location. And so, for instance, I'll let it go down to the bottom of the ladder here. And what I found is that if I get, particularly in this level, all right, you can't just move to the left off the elevator and have the screen scroll immediately like in level 4. In level 3 here, you actually have to walk up to the location where it's about to scroll. You don't want to scroll it. You want to stand just before the scroll. And you want to do a hop up, because what we're going to do is, as soon as we jump up, we're going to do a 1 frame input to the left. This is going to set up a run speed of, in this case, 255, which is technically -1. So the 0 minus 1 is the 255. And you'll see that every single frame, because we technically have a run speed of 1, every single frame we're going to get a spawn location increment. So we're utilizing what the game thinks it's doing, but we're able to manipulate that. And I found that it could be, as long as we have the max manipulation of about 25, 26 is possible with a run speed of 27, but that requires an even larger setup, and you're not going to get that in real time. Just too complicated. It requires like 2 perfect frame, a couple frame inputs just to set it up, and it's not worth it. But anyways, so I'm going to show what these warps are now. I don't think there was anything else that I needed to actually share. I think I pretty much shared what I wanted to at this point. So the trick is, or what one would want to do to set this up, is that they pretty much need to relearn how they're going to play the level up to this point. The reason being is you want to kill yourself off as soon as we get the increment manipulation. That means we need to strategically take damage up to this point in the levels so that we're down to very low health at this point. So I'm going to play this out. This is what the level 3 Chambers Warp looks like. in this location in the level, this is the furthest right location. This is the last spawn point, checkpoint in the entire level. Here, I might be able to show a map. Let me show you a quick map of this level. You may or may not be able to see it, but I'll do a full screen capture just so you can see what's going on with this. Alright, you may not be able to see this very well, but it may be helpful. Okay, so we're killing ourselves off here. This elevator that's right in the middle here. I want to make sure it's actually in the middle of the screen. All right, so we're killing ourselves off right here at the bottom of this elevator. Now I'm going to show you where this warps us to. All right, so once again, we're dying here. And this is warping us to right here. It's warping us to right here between these two red things right here. So, I mean, if you keep your eye right there, you should be able to see that we're going to bypass all of this. All the way down this blue corridor, we're passing all the way to the right, all the way down, all the way to the right, all the way, oops, sorry, up to this point right here. And this is where we are, just after this blue lightning electrode, just after that, and just before the this little pull here. All right. So that is the stage 3 warp. It is super, super good. I haven't timed it out. Somebody else can do that. But that is the most excellent warp there. All right, so we're going to move on to stage 4. And I'm going to show you what stage 4 looks like. Well, actually, I'm going to show stage 3 here one more time. And now that we had the map visual. So you can see that work. And there we go. We were pretty much skipping, I don't know, maybe 50% of the level, maybe. It's really super cool. The Chambers warp is legit. Okay, then I'm going to pull up stage 4 here. I'm going to show you stage 4. I'll just start it right here. In this case, my life wasn't as low as it should have been. And it takes you right down here. This is the final stretch right here. I'll show you. I'll pull up the map image for this level. Okay, and I can show you where we're dying. Okay, so we are dying at the bottom of this elevator here, right here. This is where we're dying. This is really close to the beginning of the stage. Okay, and this is where it's going to warp us to. Right there. This is a PG stream, but damn. I mean, that's sick, isn't it? I mean, let's look at it again. Alright, so once again, right here at the bottom of this elevator right here, and it's taken us all all the way to here. That is super cool. Absolutely super cool. Very excited about that. And that's it. That's a quick demonstration of the level 3 and level 4 chambers warp. And hopefully that was helpful to somebody. I know the Tassers are going to want to get on that one day soon. And like I said, it's going to require some luck on the setup. There is some consistency for the level 4 setup. Now, I will say the level 4 setup is going to require the max amount, because you need a value of 33, as you can see here. And at the once you get to the bottom of the elevator, you only have a value of 8, so we need 25. And 25 is pretty much the max. So if somebody were to use this as an actual strat, they could grind out so they get the 25 extra micro frames at that point, as this does. As you can see, we're going to have the 25. But we need all of those, because we need a 33. We need all of those. So that's pretty tight if you want to get this particular warp all the way to the end. Otherwise, you could simply scroll the screen and die on the far left edge just before you fall down that long corridor. That could snag you an extra 1 or 2 just to help out, just to maybe give you a better chance of getting here, because there's probably a low percentage that's going to happen to get the 25. But anyways, that's the tutorial. Hope you found that helpful. Once again, if you haven't watched my previous tutorial video, be sure to give that a try. Alright, so we're all done with the tutorial video. I'm glad I got that out of the way because I couldn't sleep. I was laying